So if you are at all familiar with tech, if you're at all familiar with anything to do with design, I'm sure you have seen and used Canva at least somewhat. It is one of my favorite products. It's one of the most popular products in the whole design community. And I thought, I've actually wanted to do this for a while. I thought I would try and rebuild the main layout to Canva on Bubble. And that's what I've done here. This is actually a rebuild of Canva that I did in 70 minutes. It's all one take, so there's no stopping and starting. It's just all in one go. And the end result is pretty good. We've got some interactive elements that actually look and feel a lot like we are actually using Canva. We've got all the animations. This is the sort of stuff you can do with Bubble, and this is the actual Canva itself. So we are not too far away if you have a look at what you actually have when you're on Canva and what I was able to build in 70 minutes using Bubble. I hope you enjoyed this video. It is quite a fun build. This is not meant to be educational content. This is just me showing how good Bubble is when you really do have a good grip on the design elements and the sort of logic and how it works. If you're interested in finding or seeing more content like this, getting access to exclusive content from me like this, really leveling up your Bubble game and becoming a better Bubble developer, then make sure to join Bubble Black Belt on School. Hopefully I'll see you in the group. All right, let's get into this one. I've been really keen to do this for a while. It's going to be a challenging build. I don't think I approached the HubSpot build with as much, I wasn't really that organized for it. Ended up taking a lot longer than I thought. I think this one's going to take quite a while, but just to sort of help me with the process, I've gone through and I've added in the Bubble Black Belt community on School. I've added a heap of notes about this build, and I guess just added in things there that I think are going to help me to speed this up. Hopefully 60 minutes or less, but we'll see. Let's jump straight into it. So on our index page, I'm just going to add in a new page. We're going to call this one Canva, and then we're going to go across. We might actually format the page first. I'm going to layout. Let's get the column to 1400. Column and then 1400. Let's jump straight into getting the designs and the styles right. Now, I'm not using the exact Canva font, which I think is something that they own or they sort of have made themselves. So yeah, I think this one, I had a look at it. I think it's close enough. We might leave it at that with a bit of a stronger gray just to get some of the text done. We'll start with that. We're going to jump straight into it though. I want to work with a group in the middle of the page. And I think I said that I wanted 60 as the margin at the top because so Canva has this, they have a top nav bar, they have a bottom nav bar that's the same color as the page, and then they've got a side nav bar that's the same color as the page. Now with this, I'm not going to be doing all of the drop downs and pop outs and all that. I'm just going to do the sort of the pop-ups, the base for the page, and then trying to just add all the elements, add all the sort of hover animations, all that sort of stuff. Just going to give it a small bit of padding. Actually, let's give it no padding. And then after this, I'm going to get straight into that top nav. Just wanted to put something there to work with. Awesome. So we've got a floating group here. We're going to call this top nav, top van. Width, we'll go page to page. And I think 60, actually, let's do 8%. Maybe 7, just because I really do want to get this right. Now we're going to give this a background style that's going to be a gradient, and this is where it really starts to get that Canva look to it. So I'm just going to copy across the colors from Canva that they use. It's got to be from left to right. One of the things I did in the HubSpot video is I wasted a lot of time looking for icons, trying to work out a few things that I should have done at the start. So for this build, to make sure we get it done, I am a little bit more organized. What do we have here? So we've got 60 from the top. That is, so yeah, you know what? When I'm working with margins, let's just do a min height of 60 because we are putting some margins there. Anyway, so let's get straight into designing the elements or putting the elements in this top nav. And there's some really cool stuff I'm going to try and do in this video. So yeah, the top nav will be the easiest of it. And then there's going to be a lot sort of in this main page and with this side menu. Okay, so it's got a fair bit of padding around it. I'm just looking across and referencing it as I go. And the first icon that we want to put in, I think it's icon menu. Awesome, that's going to be white. And with HubSpot, I might just pull this across quickly. This is the actual HubSpot app. With HubSpot, when we hover, there is a slight background color. I'm thinking I might put this tooltip in, but we'll see. But the slight background color is just, it's really rounded and a little bit colored. So we're going to try 35 for the size. I want 4 as the padding. That looks a little bit too big. So why don't we go back to 30. We'll go 33. And you really want to get this first one right, because if we can get this first one right in terms of looking and having that sort of style and feel that Canva has to it, then the rest of them are going to come pretty easily. Right, so that's what it looks like when we're not doing anything to it. And then what we want to go and do is say when this icon is hovered, we want the background color or the background style to be a flat color, and the background color to be, we don't want that full white, obviously. It was very subtle. I'm thinking like 12%, if that. Yeah, I think that's probably even too much. One of the other things I've definitely noticed is that I think the padding needs to be a bit stronger so that we can make this icon just a bit smaller. Let's make it 8%. It is really, really subtle. And it does have a sort of slow animation to show that color. So what we want to do is go down to appearance, and the background style transition, we'll just do 200. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next one. We're going to just make this a row so that we can get these items side by side. Bring them down into the middle. The next one is actually not an icon. It is text. And it's got a lot of padding, this item. We're going to make it semi-bold. Yeah, I actually don't think the icon color is fully white. It's sort of almost a little bit faded. All right, we'll get rid of that icon. We're going to bring file down to the middle of the page, and it is quite a wide element. I'd say 60 and 40. Give the roundness of 8 again. And we're going to center that. I think that looks good. Now let's get and this text is hovered, background style. Awesome. And what did we say before? 8%. Oh, 8%. Same again. It is the same height as this though. So we do want to get that right. So we want the height and the width to be the same for all these items. But we don't actually necessarily want the icon to be bigger. So what we're going to do is just increase that padding again. It's not really listening to me here. I think that's better. Awesome. Now, this is, I guess, why potentially I should be using buttons. Just to simplify this for me. Definitely should be using buttons. Okay, so what we're going to do is just use a button for the rest of them. We'll edit the primary style button, or the primary button, the style for that, just so that this sort of speeds up the process for us. We're going to do no background color, background style, and then under the conditionals, that's where we can put in the conditional expression that we've already created. So we'll go back, edit style for the button. We want the roundness to be 8. Let's have a look now. Might as well preview it. Yeah, that's spot on. Awesome. All right, so we'll get rid of that. We're going to now copy this. And the reason we did, we made it a button instead is now because we need to add in an icon, which I think this one is under font awesome. Because we need to add in an icon, it's now easier to add in that icon because it's a button. We don't have to create a text and a icon element and group them together. It's got a little circle around it. So again, I don't want to spend much time in this trying to fix the icons or get the icons right. So let's just keep that icon. We'll keep that icon and we'll say that that's what we want. And then I'm just going to get the color for it as well. I did actually go through and get all the colors and check them. And just as I was going to do it again, I lost the whole file, which was not fun to have to do again. All right, so that color is this one. Awesome. And that text says resize. I think that's like a feature, that one. I really would like a circle for this. You know what, we're going to leave it. We're going to come back to it. That's the stuff we can try at the end. So resize. Now we're going to go into editing. Okay. Yep. That's definitely it. Editing. Interesting. So this has 2 icons. So what we're going to need to do for this, let's first get that icon right. Color looks all right. It's white. Now we need to essentially put this together with, we need to put this button together with another icon because there's 2 icons. There's an arrow on the right and there's a pen on the, like an edit sort of symbol on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck an icon in there. We're going to say a down arrow. Yep. I keep looking across because I've got Canva open on this other screen. Why don't we give it a little bit of padding? And then we can give this one less padding. Maybe a little bit smaller. Awesome. We're going to get rid of the min height on it because we don't want it to sort of take up the whole row. Let's give that 8 and maybe we'll give it 12. And now what we can do, so we've got 2 padding there. We've got 4 padding there. We can give this group another 6 padding and that should even it out. I'm going to go with 8. No background color unless this group is hovered. %, again. There we go. How good does that look? Okay. Now these are, I guess, grouped together. I'm just going to turn the rest of them off. Yeah, so all of these in this top row are grouped together. So we want to grab them, right click, group them in a row container. And do just want to keep these sized properly. I think that's crucial that we get the consistency right there. Perfect, that's much better. And then on the button, what we can do is we can just drop the padding and that'll sort of even it out a little bit. Same for this first button. Look, we can have a good amount of sort of true fixes done at the ends. Now what we want to do, I mean, they are pretty close to each other. We're gonna do fit width to content. And in this group, we'll just give a little bit of gap spacing. Say a little, and then I go and do 8. Okay, awesome. I think that looks good. Now what we want to do is we're throwing in more icons down. These are falling outside of group. So these are now, this is now a left icon. We're already 15 minutes into this, that's crazy. Okay, it's back. Yep, we want that a stronger white. Gonna put it down, and I think I would like it a little bit stronger in terms of color, but that's the closest I can come to getting the exact arrow that I want. So that's all right. What am I missing here? Oh yeah, that is left. Now we're gonna go right. Awesome. So again, group these in a row container. We want to do some good gap spacing here. Maybe even, yeah, I think that's the right amount. You really want to make sure these are all like lined up properly. And then we're going to give them left and right of 16 and 16. Yeah. And then this group, we'll give 16 padding to that one as well. Left and right. Maybe 8 and 8, and then, okay. Now let's put some borders up. Solid on the right, solid on the left. Ooh, that's the bottom. And it's a very faint white line. So we're talking like probably perfect, maybe a little bit more, like 20% on this side as well. Ooh, make it white, 20%. I actually think that's too strong. 15 was good. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just squeeze this in a little bit. Yeah, that's what we want. I wanted to get those lines a little bit lower because they are quite low. I think I've got to move along and go a bit quicker with this. But anyway, this is actually a button. So let's move that right to the end. Drop that outside. Drop it outside here. Okay, perfect. That's just going to be, then I think the symbol is cloud. Done. Awesome. 22. Let's make it white. Perfect. And what was this sort of faded white? It was 80 or something. 85%. This is where we're at so far. Got to fix that. Types of style, delete that. Should do it. Beautiful. need to give that a bit of space as well. We can actually group these all together now in a row container. You know what, just to be lazy, I'm just going to say 8. It's margin. I haven't put any, that's annoying. So I think I haven't done that in a great way. I'm going to fix these icons because essentially I didn't use the button elements. So I would have had to go in and put in all of the animations or the sort of the hover and that sort of stuff. So we're going to do left. Awesome. Get rid of that. That can be right. A little bit too much space between them because they are bigger elements now. Let's drop down this padding. There we go, 35 and 35. Awesome. Okay, so it's a little bit quiet there as just as I hustled through that. So now let's check this first part of the menu and then we really need to move on with it. Okay, there's some changes still to be made there, but for the most part, it's looking good. Up in this corner, right, we've got some text now. Let's spread this out and go side. Ooh, not like that. So we want to get this out of that group. Group F. So I'm going to drop that. Okay, we'll make that last. I'm going to do fit width to content for this. That can then go down. We're going to center that. It's going to be in white and 700 or 600. I'm really going to try and move quick with this now. Let's make it 500. Okay, so when you hover it, it's just blank text and then around it, so it's the name. I'll come back to that. And because I am keen to sort of make a few items in this that actually can be used, we'll give it a bit of a border, maybe a bit more than that. Might be too much, who knows. And we're going to say 8 roundness. And when this item is hovered, or when this text is hovered, border style is solid and the border color is all white. And it should just sort of flash up. I hate that it's moving position. That it's sort of reacting to us, putting a border around it. All good. Again, just about getting this started quickly. Now we're going to say, this is in one of my accounts where I don't have the paid accounts. So I just set this up for this video. So we'll put that in it as well. I'm going to do a button for this one because this is editable. So we do want that to be a text value. And this is going to say, try Pro for 30 days. Awesome. Let's copy in that condition. Okay, so we've got some shapes here. I'm actually going to skip that. That's where I put my name and the username and that. I'm going to do that last because I think that's going to give me a few headaches. So we will have a crack at that last. Let's go in and get this, these icons done, and then we can start moving on to some good stuff in this video. Okay, we're going to do 40 by 40 because these are evenly shaped. This one in here is bar chart. Bar, and it should be coming up here. under chart. Okay, we're going to use that one. Then we've got chart. We're going to select one of the bootstrap icons. It's that one. And some of these icons aren't exact. I am definitely aware of that, but we're just trying to get it as close to as possible. This one is an icon and a label that we're going to put in display. Again, this is not an exact icon, this one, but it is relatively close. Okay. And we want to put in that says present. There's a little bit more to the edges when I'm looking at the Canva icons in terms of the padding. It sort of gives it a bit more space around it. And these icons actually have that border always. Yeah, it's that very light border. Almost done this section, which is a good start. 24 minutes to sort of get that top nav done. And now we can put in share, and this one does look a little bit different. And that's file upload that we're going to use. Not the one I want that's coming up. Let's try upload. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so the color on this is like pretty much black. Put that into the font as well, and then we'll do the background color as white. It looks a little bit too harsh, and maybe it's the font that's playing with it. A little bit better, maybe 80%. Same with this, we're going to do 80%. And let's drop that gap between them. And then increase the icon size. Maybe, I think the icon looks a little awkward here. Which is sort of making it a little bit, yeah, look a little bit off, but that's all good. So we've got this first one, second, third, fourth, fifth. Put them in a row container, and then we're going to put them all to one side. That's on that bar, pretty much done. I just want to put some gap spacing in. Nothing happens when I do that, so I'm going to detach the style and then turn that off. Okay, so that is our top nav done, which is pretty cool. We now really do need to get stuck into this side nav, which I think is going to take a lot of the time up, so we'll go into that. All right, so the floating side nav, it finishes at about, I would say, comes out to maybe 80. Let's put it as 100. It is the same color as the background, so it doesn't really matter. But we do need to put some padding in there to sort of insulate the top a little bit from it. So 60. Okay. Now, this one you could do, I've done a video on it. It's a repeating group for icons, but I feel like they're so different. You don't really want to spend time putting together a repeating group and doing that and doing all the conditional expressions. Like, this is going to be very conditional expression heavy, just because of the way the Canva's menu's set up. So, okay. And it's basically every time you hover over these icons, different stuff happens. Different colors happen, or different colors come up for each icon. And it also fills out most of the icons. So this first one, which is design, I've sort of got get this text right as well, because I did notice before when I was having a look at it, the text is a little bit like the text I'm using, which isn't obviously Canva's font, it's a little bit off when you aren't doing bolder items. So we're at least going to get this text color spot on. So let's have a look at it. Awesome. That's looking pretty good. Let's center it. And now we need to get the coloring for these icons right as well, which I think, just sort of eyeballing it, it is the same color. It's closest to the top nav. It is the same color as the text, that the color of the icons when they're sort of just sitting on their own, nothing's happening to them. Awesome. Let's group that together in a column container. We're going to give it gap spacing of a little bit more. It does need to be a bit bigger, this icon. It is pretty big on Canva. And it's got a healthy amount of padding on it. So we may even want to do bigger than that with, let's go 8 padding around. Let's try 7. Okay, and then this needs to be stronger. It is frustrating I haven't been able to get that font exactly the same. There is one more trick I want to try. It was meant to be a minus. Maybe that's a little better actually. That's quite close, I think. I'm going to make this 75. 85. When we try 90. Awesome. Okay. So these icons aren't exact, but they are quite close. Now, what we're going to do is it needs to be a group level hover, and it is a hover that comes up when you're sort of within this range. Maybe a little bit more narrow, but that's, yeah, we're going to try and get close to it. Okay, so we'll do left and right. So when you get up to about here, it does start to change the actual icon itself. So what we're going to do is just add in the conditional expressions to change this icon when the user hovers over this group. So the first thing that changes is when this icon, actually, so we're going to clear that and we're going to say, when group design is hovered, the icon color, or first thing we're going to change is the icon itself. So it goes from that to this. The background becomes this color. So I did check these colors before just so I didn't waste time looking up colors. And it should have a roundness. We want to set a default roundness for these elements. Yeah, see, this is where we want that spacing to be sort of preset. We want there to be a bit of spacing between the text and the element. Just enough. Yeah, okay, awesome. So now we can say that there is a very light border. The border actually, you know what, we're going to have to add in some more conditional expressions here. I've just sort of overlooked something a little bit, but we can do it. That's all good. So that's how wide did we make this? The width is 100. Okay, width is 100. Group page, there's going to be a left margin of 100, not 10. Left margin of 100. Now, what we need to do is basically have a workflow in here that says when we click this, we want to set in this case, we're just going to be setting the state. We're not going to set this up completely. So we're going to say menu item, we're going to call it, and it's just going to be a text value. There is so many better ways I could do this, but I've just sort of, overlooked this before I planned it out. So I want to do this quickly. Okay, so we're going to say when we click this element, we want to set group pages state to be design. So we're going to click on add workflow, set state of element, group page. I'm going to set the state for menu item to design when we click this. So now we can say this conditional expression is actually going to say when group page's menu item is design. That's when we want this to happen, because that's not actually happening on the hover. That's happening when the actual item itself has been selected. Border style, we want solid, and this border is a very light color. Border width, I'm putting in quite a lot here. Border width, does that look too big, potentially? The border color, we want it super light, lighter than that. And we want it a little bit rounder as well. So we're going to do with a smaller amount of padding and a smaller icon itself in there. Now we want to actually increase that padding a little bit. Increase the icon size. See, this is probably the best evidence. It's the fact that I'm making this up as I go. Okay, now it's a little bit more subtle. It's probably, let's say 12%. And we do want to do a box shadow, and there is something really, really sly here. I'm not sure if I'm seeing things with it or what, but I think that there is a drop shadow that is incredibly light, that's actually quite large behind the icon here. It's super, super subtle. We want a big blur radius for this, and we want the actual shadow itself to be so light. And I want it to be, go down. What are we looking for here? Horizontal and vertical. We want them to be really, really light. I actually think the vertical is actually quite strong. It is almost exactly like that, I think. Really, really soft, and behind it is just light. Okay, awesome. And now we can say when it's hovered, I'm going to copy that. That is a crazy conditional expression for something relatively small. When group design is hovered, we'll get rid of that. We want to keep the border color. Get rid of the icon color. And the icon color here is quite dark, so we want to put that in. Not sure why it's just decided to do a little bit of a zoom there. I've probably overlooked something. Okay, so we also, you would have noticed that when I clicked it, when I hovered over it and it was selected, it was coming up as that dark color as well. So what we want to say is this item is hovered and page menu item is not design. So we're basically saying here that when we hover it and we've already selected it, we don't want to see that color change. So if it's selected, we don't want to see a color change when we hover over it. Awesome. I'll probably come back to it if it's sort of changing shape when I hover over it. That's really weird. I'm not sure what I'm not seeing here. Maybe we want to fix this width if it's not fixed already. Let's have a look. So it's because I'm putting the border in, I think. So what we're going to say is that there is a border already. I'm going to say the border width is 1. And we're going to make the opacity 0. Hopefully that fixes it. Yeah, so if you're adding in that border, sometimes it's going to, awesome. Perfect. Okay, let's keep cracking along with this because you really don't want to fall behind. Yeah, so if something doesn't have a border and you give it a border, then often it will impact the shape of it. And I think that's what's happening to the item up here as well. So next one is elements. Elements. Okay, so again, these icons are not all exact. Make that 36. They are from different sort of from different icon groups. And it is a purple sort of color. We should be able to move a lot quicker with it now though. Just because we have got the base functionality there, and we're going to say elements. Okay, cool. Hopefully that's all right. Let's add a workflow. We're going to grab this workflow and just copy it across and then change what is actually happening. Awesome. Let's have a quick look at that before we replicate the other ones. We're obviously going to space them out, so that's all good. I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I think that's looking really good. Okay, so copy and paste. This one is text, and of course it's gonna, we get a bit of momentum, and it now is that I think I've got to get rid of using icons and I have to use a letter. Don't know if there's any letters. So a quick scan through. Yes, how good is that? Awesome. Putting out conditional expressions again. Just gonna move a bit closer to my mic. I mean, I've got 18 minutes to finish this. Is it gonna happen? Who knows? In terms of doing it under an hour, I mean, that's purple. Okay. Copy another one in, or paste another one in. Change that to text. Let's go. Okay, we're on to brand. This one I definitely could have taken more time to choose, but look, we're here now. I'm gonna just turn those off just so I can see them. Awesome. So I just looked up some random icons that sort of looked a little bit like what we need. Maybe this isn't even the one I was thinking of. Getting stuck on the icons is not a great call while I do this. I really don't like that. We're going to move through with it anyway, and we can make changes if we need to down the line, just so we can actually get this done. What is this? What are you seeing? Card holder. Okay. Look, that'll have to do, I think. We're going to call the workflow brands. We jump across, add a workflow, paste that in once again. And there we have brands. Okay. What's the next one? Uploads. Okay, just realized I was very quiet there for a sec, just focusing in on this. Yeah, uploads. So jump across, paste that in. Okay, now we can, I just want to check, did I upload and upload? Okay, so I got the state name wrong, which obviously would then impact it at least working in terms of like, yeah, displaying what we want it to or changing the colors based on the custom states that we had put into the conditional expressions. Draw, set that. This one's easy. Awesome. A little bit repetitive here, but we just got to work through these ones. This is, I think, the hard part. Draw, okay. Awesome. And then add a workflow for that. Almost done this. I say it's the hard part. I actually think there's still some interesting parts to come in this build. Okay, now this was folder. Then folder again, and we want this one closed. Because there is a mini animation here, and it's sort of, yeah, it does sort of look like that. So we are actually changing to a completely different icon when that happens. This is projects. Awesome, we drop that in and then change that and the workflow as well. Paste, projects. Didn't fix that. 14 minutes. Am I going to do this? Probably not in under an hour, but happy to go over. This is a big build. Okay, apps. What did I say for this? Okay, this is definitely not the exact same icon, but this is the closest I could find until I got sick of searching. So we're just going to go with that one. Doesn't even change. That is annoying. Let's see what else we can find in just a very quick search. We're going to go with that for now. Okay, so let's get this one filled. That's good. And the color on this, we'll drop that in. All right. Workflow, and then we've done those main items. There's one I've got to put at the bottom, which is a little bit different. We're going to leave that to a little bit later. And I've got an interesting way of doing that. But that is, I think, those main sort of menu items done. Group them in a row container, sorry, a column container. And then let's give them 12 gap spacing, 16. 12. All right, let's see what that looks like. It's pretty Canva-y to me. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, now we've got the bottom nav to get into. So let's jump into that. This is going to be interesting, this one. Yeah, because it's got a few elements that I'm going to have a bit of fun with them, but it's also, when I say fun, I mean it's going to be difficult. Let's make it 50. And then we'll do some padding around it, 88888. Okay, so first few ones are relatively easy. We're going to copy this button and drop it in. We want the min height and the max height to be smaller, and we can probably drop a little bit of that padding off either side. The footer buttons are a little bit smaller by the look of it. Edit. Awesome. That is sort of dark color. 80% like that. 80%, awesome. And then the text here says notes. Spacing is a little bit smaller, and the actual size of the text is a little bit bigger down here. Awesome. On to the next one. This needs to be a row container. We're using the display icon again. We're going to put duration in there, and then timer, and now the fun stuff. The slider for the zoom. And I'm not going to be able to do the actual zoom functionality in this video. I really do want to have a go at that at some point. I think that would be a really cool feature to build. But the actual slider itself, I know how I'm going to do. So we do need to get a plugin. We're going to use the draggable elements. Oh, I've already installed it. It's this first one, that draggable elements. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a group first. So we create a group, drop it in here. We want to fix the height of the group because the Canva, let's just have a look at what it looks like. The Canva slider is, yeah, it's not something you could probably easily do in Bubble, but yeah, this is going to be a fun one to do. So what we want to do now is do fit with the content, and we want to drop the draggable element in here. We're going to drop that in there, and we're going to make it, let's make it, I think I had a little go at it before. Let's try 30. And we need it to be a round element. So we want a very round element. We want 100 whites. And what we're going to actually do now with this group is that group, let's get the min height, should be 40 actually. Let's do 200. Give it a bit of distance, 250. Okay, so now let's put a background style in there of, I did this before and it was quite easy to do, surprisingly. We want then, yeah, an inset. What did I do? So 1. So we're essentially setting an inset sort of shadow coming in for this group, this parent group. And then inside of that, we have a draggable element, which is white. We're going to put that in the middle. It's like an overlay almost. An overlay that doesn't want to work for me. So we want, we want this background color to be C4. Awesome. Okay, that's what we wanted. Then we want to inset. Let's try this. Oh, sorry. That's for the draggable element. There we go. Okay, so we just need to make this group a little bit smaller now. And we can make that spread radius bigger. That's basically going to drop down, give us this slidable element. Make it a little bit broader. Oop. Okay, now we need to give some sort of coloring to this just so people can see it. We're almost about to hit an hour, but that is all good. This slider element is actually a lot smaller than I've done. I'd say 25. And we just want to say for it that we don't want it to move outside of the parent. Okay, cool. Now this parent, yeah, there we go. We're going to drop this down again to, let's say 8. No, 10 was good. Maybe even 9, no, 11, 10. Okay, now the background color, let's do 75. Way lighter than that, 45. And we're going to do a spread radius, blur radius maybe in there. I think that's all right. This is going to be quite basic, but it is going to actually give us something that we can sort of play with as a slider, where we can drag that across now. But the really cool part, which I worked out, is this. And this is not, it's not a live tool, so none of this is real. I'm sure that I could get something similar to this working because I've managed to do the designs with honestly under an hour's worth of prep work. But if I put in here, there's a conditional expression, group paid, no group, so drag and drop. We want its X position. We want to multiply that by 1.867. And then round that to 0. Put in a percentage after that. Because on Canva, there we go. On Canva, you have a slider that goes from 10 to 500%. And now on the bubble Canva, we have a slider that goes almost just to a similar number. I think I might have got my calculation wrong. Let's just do 9.5, whatever, or 9.6. We can always change. Yeah, this is a small detail. I just thought that was a funny addition to have. A slider that actually also does that as well. Awesome. So we'll just leave that as is. I can't really be bothered going in and building that completely, but I thought that was a little bit cheeky. Okay, so now put those two in a group. We are 3 minutes away from the hour. All good. I would rather get this done and do it properly than rush it. Edge to edge. I've got to open Canva up again. Okay, so we've got a few icons now at the end of this. So let's get that out of there and make it last. And these are just icons, so we don't actually need the label. What was this one? View. Let's do a width of 50. And then the next one is open. And we'll bring these all together. Open, what is it? What does it look like? It's actually not this one. There's one before that. So we're going to change that to question. Oh no, that's... Okay, we've just accidentally found the right one. How cool is that? I'm very happy about that. And I'm also very disappointed that I didn't know that was what it was called. Okay, so this is just meant to be some squares down there. Awesome. Wow. We are actually finding the right icons here. This is so cool. Let's just call this square. I should just keep looking them up because that's clearly working. Yeah, that is, I would say, good enough for what we're trying to do here. Okay, and then we've just got a question mark at the end. We have just hit 1 hour. You know what? I'm happy. This has gone quite well so far. Okay, so now we've got all of those. We're going to group them in a row container. And not like that. Yeah, we want those all together. Awesome. Okay, fit width to content, and then let's give them some gap spacing. I actually can't even see behind my laptop screen here. 16, maybe 12 for those ones. And then we are down to one more item. We want to give this some left padding of 100. One more item before we get into this main section, which is going to be a very quick little build. So I'm going to go group. I'm going to drop it in here. And this is, it looks like this. It's that one there. So we'll jump back in. Put it at 80 for now. We're going to put an icon in the middle of this one. I think the icon was stars. It was definitely stars. I'm not sure what it was under. Oh, it's a bootstrap. So we go bootstrap. There we go. Okay, so the way we do this, because it has, it's a gradient outline. Now, you might think to yourself, you can only do full colors as an outline on bubble, but the way we're going to do this is, as with everything we've done in this video, a little bit cheeky. So what we do is we basically just want to fit with the content, but we want to put a bit of a border in there. Awesome. And this is the group. We're working on the group at the moment, so we're not actually working on the icon in the middle. Want the icon to be 100 roundness as well. So we've got a bit of a border or a bit of a group around that. And now we want the background color to be a gradient. The background color for the group is going to be a gradient. We're going to make the background color for the icon a flat color. Background color for the group is going to be a gradient. And we're going to make it the same as our top menu, our top nav. And I think that potentially we've got too much padding just because it looks a bit awkward. So what we can do now is just not do 42. I think that is pretty spot on. So that's Canva. And That's us. Awesome. Let's separate those. Center align this one. Give it a bit of a shadow. Something like that. I think that looks all right. The colors inside are actually more of, I think they're more of this color than anything else. Maybe not. It's a sort of gradient, that color, so that's where they've got me. All good though. Yeah, we'll do that. That's better. Okay, so now we are literally onto the group page. What we're going to do is just chuck in a bottom margin of 80. And now right in the middle of the page, we're going to drop another group item. Just over an hour really to get this done. We want to put some margins there. Let's try 36. No, way more than that. There's a reason I don't want to use margins on this, and that's because I would love to do another video sort of building out actually a bit of functionality in the zoom and that sort of stuff, but we'll do some padding. We'll do some margins just for the sake of this video so I can get it done. You know what? Let's do group item. Let's just get the width right. So we're going to have the base of 60%. For the height and the width, that's going to give us a good sort of shape for it. Put that in the middle. Awesome. We're going to drop a group straight inside that. And we're going to spread it out, and then group item is going to have, group, let's call it whatever. Group item page. That's going to have small margins and a very small sort of shadow. And then this outside group is going to be a border that is, what color is it? Let's have a look. Okay, so we'll drop in, it's a very purpley sort of color, so let's add that in. And a little bit stronger, it definitely has a bit of weight to it, just a bit. And then the whole thing does have a bit of a shadow going around the outside. Quite a bit of a shadow, actually. We want to put a bit. Let's do the spread as 4, and then we can bring this down to about 25%. I think we might be done. In terms of what I want to do for this, I think the one thing I would say is that I'm looking at the actual Canva now, and it looks like the text is just a bit softer. So let's try controversial. Let's get it much smaller. Smaller and heavier, maybe. A little bit of sizing adjustments. See what that does. Just going to throw everything out. I think we make the text slightly bigger, one size bigger, and then I think we're there. And we're gonna bring this a little bit closer together. Let's have a look. I think there's some work to be done here, but wow. I mean, this really does look like Canva. And that's an under 70 minutes. That's pretty funny. All right, let's drop the spacing a little bit here. And then I think I'm going to call it. I think I'm going to say that's close enough. Yeah. I think the one thing I could probably do is just, again, increase his font size. I'm just being really picky because I don't have the actual font, which is super annoying. So there you have it. This is Canva, and this is what I was able to do in, what's that, 70 minutes on Bubble. So this is Canva. And then this is our 70-minute Canva build. So if anyone's still watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you are looking for some help with your bubble building, looking to level up your bubble game, learn to build or rebuild world-class softwares because you are so confident with the design elements and the different parts of Bubble, then make sure to join Bubble Black Belt on School. Yeah, let's level up your bubble game. I had a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video.